Why do people pay a premium for a product that's handmade, that's handcrafted, over something which is mass-produced in a factory? Because love and care has been taken over that product. It's likely to be higher quality. And there's probably a story behind the person that made it. There's skill, there's craft. You go to a website, you need to speak to customer services for a particular reason, and you just get a chatbot. You get a database of frequently asked questions that are responding to usually quite a specific need that you have. And it's infuriating, and all you want to do is just speak to a person. I expect many people, would prefer a nice home-cooked meal rather than a microwave instant meal. Why is that? It serves the same function. You're hungry, you eat it, you're no longer hungry. The difference is, it's been made by somebody. Someone that probably cares about you, particularly if it's at home, but certainly if you're at a restaurant, someone that's taken care and skill and craft over making that meal. That's the difference, and I think it's similar with AI-generated music. Yes, it has a function perhaps for telephone hold music or elevator or lift music, depending on what side of the Atlantic you're on. But it lacks humanity. The question is, though, what makes us human? What separates us from an AI algorithm? And as a Christian, I believe that we are created in the image of God. And He is the ultimate creator. Look around at nature, look at the wonder of the human body, and that creativity is infused into every single person, and we are all created to create in different ways. And so in making art, in writing music, just like God's fingerprints are on me, I want my fingerprints, my signature, to be present in my music. And that's something that AI can't do. I mentioned in a previous video talking about ways to get started in ambient music that one of the joys of making music is being able to collaborate with other artists. And that's something that AI can't do. If you ask an AI music generator to produce you a track, it can't contact its friend halfway around the world and say, let's make something together. Let's combine our creative talents and make something unique to put out into the world. It doesn't have that ability. But on an even deeper level, and what is most important to me when making music with others, is that relationship. I'm not just making music. That's not the only purpose. In making the art, in working together, that friendship is deepening and developing. And some of the best music I've made has been with other people. It extends beyond just collaborating with other musicians, though. I've had so many people, some of whom I don't know, send me messages or say to me, thank you so much for your music. It's really helped me to sleep. It's really helped me to relax, to stay calm, to find peace. I use it when I'm praying. I use it for meditation. It's improving my health. It's improving my mental state. And that is incredible. And I hope there's many others who I will never hear from who have that same experience. In our modern world, where we have so much technology and so much on offer in the way of virtual reality, high definition experiences, artificial intelligence, I think there is still a craving deep down in every person for something genuine. Now I'm out for a walk just near my house, and it's not the nicest day. It's a bit drizzly, it's a bit grey, but nothing beats getting out into the wild, into the countryside, into nature, because as good as a virtual reality experience that takes you into the woods might be, is never ever going to beat walking out your front door or wherever you might live and experiencing nature firsthand in real life without technology. And the same can be said for music. And I think there is a desire amongst not just musicians, but listeners, lovers of music, to get back to something authentic, which perhaps is what's driving the resurgence of listening to things on vinyl, of tape recordings, emulations, that vintage feel. I mean, that was clearly technology back when it first emerged, but I think there's a longing to rewind to times where nothing was digitized and sanitized. And so, particularly with ambient music, and it's something that I try to do with all of my productions, is to inject my personality, my human touch. And I think that naturally happens because I write from a place of experience and emotion, what I'm thinking and feeling at that particular time, and normally have some sort of theme, but not just in the approach and the philosophy and the theme, but more in the production techniques as well. So not just using in the box sounds, not just using standard preset patches, but recording, for example, samples of my own voice, my guitar, and putting my own fingerprint on my music so it sounds like me and not like anybody else, because I think that connects with listeners more than anything else. Another aspect of being human is that we are not perfect. Well, certainly I'm not. I can't speak for you. And although imperfection can be seen as weakness, I think imperfection, particularly in creating art, adds that sense of humanity. And I often, when I'm making music, come across happy accidents. I do things, I play chords, I produce notes, I manipulate sounds, I use effects, and things happen that I haven't expected. And they sound incredible, they sound beautiful, and they add texture, they add warmth, they add that human touch to music. And AI, again, it might create imperfections, but they're going to be part of the algorithm. They're going to be programmed imperfections, or they're going to be misunderstood prompts. And so I think we need to, as artists, really lean into, push into the fact we're imperfect, utilize those imperfections in our music, because they create interest, they create depth, and they connect with the listener. I'm going to extend my homemade meal analogy a little bit further, if you'll indulge me, because I think it's a good one. It's much more enjoyable to share a meal with someone or a group than to sit on your own. I've certainly eaten out before, perhaps when I'm staying away, in a restaurant or a cafe on my own. And it's okay, but it's not as enjoyable as when you're sitting with a friend or someone in your family or a group. And the same, I think, can be said for music. It's the participation with others, it's the sharing, and that common experience, that connection that really sets apart human-made music, home-baked music, if you like, from something that's just manufactured by a machine. AI music is dead, and it always will be, because it's never going to be human. It's never going to be a living, breathing person with a heart, a mind, and a soul. It's never going to be able to replicate our lived experiences, our emotions, the skills that have taken us years to refine and develop. And it doesn't have the fingerprints of any particular creator. It's just a mush. It's just a conglomeration of all the music it's been able to absorb, to soak up, in order to produce a product which, in my view, is always going to be inferior to the real thing. I'm hopeful and optimistic about the future of ambient music, despite the apparent encroachment of AI-generated material into our genre. And the same can be said for other genres as well. Undoubtedly, AI is getting better at producing good sounding ambient music, and perhaps in 10 years' time the conversation will be different. But I'm a strong believer that nothing's ever going to replace that human element, that special signature that artists put onto their music, either knowingly or unknowingly. My advice to other musicians would be to lean in to what makes you unique. Draw out the things that make you who you are and put those into your music, rather than trying to iron out all the imperfections, rather than trying to sound overly polished, and rather than trying to compete, be who you are. And that humanity, that touch, your personality, your experiences, your emotions will shine through in the music. But going beyond the music itself, and this is something I'm trying to do particularly at the start of this year, is to make more connections with people, other musicians, producers, record labels, anyone involved on the more business industry side. But I think even more importantly, make connections with those that are listening in the best way you can. Now, there's lots of noise on social media, there's lots of competing for airspace, but if you can build around your music a sense of community, a sense of identity that people can really grasp, and they can understand who you are and have a relationship with you on some level, that is going to go a long way to helping you to get past and stand out beyond the slop and the noise that AI music can create. So be positive, keep making music, and I'm enjoying making these vlogs, so I'm going to keep making more just about things that are on my mind and my thoughts. On that note, I'd love to know what you think about this. I've not covered everything about AI by any means, any stretch of the imagination, but it's a great starting point for a conversation. So drop me a message, leave me a comment. Let's have some more discussion about this. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this topic as well. Until then, and until next time, take care of yourselves.